So in this short video I want to talk about the role of previous knowledge in grounded theory, and also the issue of writing the literature review, or specifically when to write the literature review if you're conducting a grounded theory study. Last week I recorded a video in which I discussed in more detail grounded theory approach, and I covered all the steps involved in grounded theory research, and at the same time I debunked some common myths about grounded theory. So if you haven't watched that video, I'll link to that video here. But in this video I want to specifically cover two of the misconceptions that I previously discussed. And I call these misconceptions dilemmas of grounded theory. So dilemma number one is, how can you not have previous knowledge? How can you not do any reading, and how would you even come up with a study, with the idea for a study, if you're not expected to have any previous knowledge? So here it is important to realize that while previous versions of grounded theory were in fact much stricter about this issue, and they argued that you shouldn't have any previous knowledge, nowadays, recently, grounded theorists increasingly recognize that it's not desirable or feasible not to have any previous knowledge. So now they recognize the importance of such previous knowledge, but they just warn against using that knowledge as something that guides and something that commands your study. Instead, it should be just a starting point. You should have just enough previous knowledge to be able to critically assess the topic that you're thinking about, and to realize what needs to be researched, for example. So that's a starting point. That's something that slightly guides the process of your study and your analytic thinking, rather than commands the whole process. So as I said in the previous video, it definitely shouldn't be the previous knowledge, the previous concepts and findings definitely should not be something that you apply to your data analysis, for example. Not something that you want to apply as a model and start looking for the elements of the previous frameworks or theories, but instead something that, as I said, you use as a starting point in your study. So to give you an example, in the study of Polish migrants' English language identity that I conducted, of course I had some previous knowledge. So the very concept of English language identity that I developed was the product of my reading, the product of me reading findings from several fields, including psychology and social psychology and social linguistics. While these previous studies did not talk explicitly about English language identity, I used concepts such as self-concept, self-esteem, other types of identity. I kind of connected them together to develop this idea of this construct of English language identity that I in turn investigated, that I wanted to investigate. So of course I was very cautious of the influence of that previous knowledge, especially when I was collecting and analyzing my data. I deliberately refrained from reading more. So at that stage I really didn't want any previous findings or claims or theories to influence my understanding and my interpretations of the data I collected. So at that stage I did stop reading any additional literature. So I had only read enough for me to develop this idea, as I said, to be critical of this idea, to develop this construct that I wanted to investigate. And also in the process of data analysis, I was very conscious of the possible influence of that previous knowledge. I reflected on it in memos, which are just like notes. So I was very careful for this previous knowledge that I had not to influence, for example, the concepts that I developed from my data analysis. I didn't want to use the pre-existing concepts known from the literature when I was analyzing the data. I entered this field, this data analysis process, with a blank mind. And as I said, and this is something that, as I said, recent grounded theorists recently acknowledge and encourage, rather than pretending that you don't have any previous knowledge, you just should be very explicit about the possible influence of that knowledge on the whole process, especially on your data analysis. Interestingly, as I said, when I was analyzing the data, I refrained from reading the literature, but as I developed this theory, this explanation of English language identity among Polish migrants in Scotland, using the terminology that was mine, so to speak. Later on, I did come back to the literature. I started to find to look for these concepts in the literature. So this is also part of the constant comparison method that I discussed in the previous video. When you develop some concepts from your data analysis and then you compare it not just to your own data but also to what has been previously done and said in the literature. So when I came back to the literature, to reading the literature this time, I was focused on finding the things that I found, and I found that in fact lots of things that I thought I discovered were actually there. They had different names, but there were different theories for them, but of course this is not really surprising. There were similarities. There were concepts that were previously put forward to describe things that I found. Was I upset about it? You may think that if you discovered something and then you find that actually it's nothing new, you would be upset and generally discouraged and disappointed. But I wasn't, because finding these concepts in the literature and realizing that what I found, what emerged strictly from the data, so it was grounded in the data, has actually previously been discussed. It strengthened validity of my findings, the strength in general of my findings, because I could argue that I was not influenced by these. I didn't even know about the existence of these concepts prior to my study, so they emerged strictly from the data, and eventually I learned that they supported the previous findings. So like I said, it actually strengthened the validity of my findings. And this kind of leads us to the second dilemma of grounded theory. So the assumption is that you shouldn't be writing your literature review before you conduct a grounded theory study. And again, in earlier versions of grounded theory, this was even more common. So they argue that you should postpone writing your literature review until after the study, because only then do you have these new concepts. Then you start reading the literature and then you write the literature review. Of course, as you can imagine, again, this is not very practical, especially if you're a student. You are expected to write the literature review when you start your studies. You're expected to do a lot of reading. As a PhD student, the first year is all just reading and reading and reading and writing your literature review. So you cannot just tell your supervisors that I think I won't do any reading just now because I want to do a grounded theory study. Also, usually you're expected to submit some kind of report or proposal at the beginning. So again, you have to demonstrate your some knowledge of the literature, and you have to demonstrate the rationale and possibly a gap in the literature. So of course this is not really possible. But again, nobody really forces you to do that. So to use my example again, I went back to the literature. I found plenty of concepts that I wasn't aware of previously, which reflected what I found in my data. So I had to read about these concepts. I had to go back to the literature review that of course I had written before, and I had to adjust this literature review so that it included the concepts that I was later describing in my results. As you probably know, when we report on the results, especially when we discuss the findings, what we are expected to do is to talk about the findings using the findings from the literature that we previously reviewed in the literature review, and also using the concepts from that literature. So saying that either your results supported these findings or dismiss these findings, but you are expected to discuss more or less the same concepts and the same studies. So in practice, as I said, what it means for you if you're conducting a grounded theory study is that you have to go back to the literature review. You have to put a lot of new things there. You have to restructure it a little bit as if these concepts were always there in your literature review before you conducted the study. So again, you may ask whether I felt disappointed because here I am developing this new theory, this new explanation, having my findings that emerged strictly from my data and nobody else's data. And here I have to pretend and write the literature review as if from the very beginning I was aware of these concepts, which kind of may make it look like your data analysis was actually not that inductive and did not emerge from your findings, because why are your findings so similar to the literature? But don't worry, I wasn't disappointed and I wasn't upset, because again, if you conduct a grounded theory study and you explain the whole process, for example in your methodology chapter, then the examiner or whoever reads your thesis will understand that although the final product looks like it looks, in reality, in practice, the whole process was a little bit backwards. So you later added the concepts to your literature review. So if you explain it to them, they will understand. So they won't think that you based your findings on the previous findings in the previous literature. So this is it on the topic of the two dilemmas that I mentioned. I hope that this video helped you understand something that you struggled with. I hope that you learned something new. Feel free to ask your questions in the comments if you have any questions. And if you enjoyed the video, like the video to help it get found. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing.